everybody, and welcome back to another video. I hope you guys all had a very Merry Christmas. You had a brilliant time, got to see your family, stuffed yourselves with loads of food, drunk loads of alcohol, and had an amazing time. In terms of Charlton, it has been very quiet over the last couple of days, which does explain why I haven't uploaded. Obviously Christmas is another factor, but also because we haven't had any games on. Obviously the AFC Wimbledon match away on Boxing Day and Gillingham at home, which was supposed to happen today, have both been called off due to a COVID outbreak in the squad and the amount of injuries we have. We have an insufficient amount of players to play the game. I'm hoping that we are back at the Valley on New Year's Day against Wycombe, as it is my 20th birthday that day, so I'm hoping that I do get to see the Addicks. So as you can tell by the title of this video though, we are going to be looking back at a video I did last year. What do Charlton need to do in this upcoming window? What does Johnnie Jackson need to do to get this team fighting again, and hopefully we can make a late push for that playoffs? It's not very likely. There is work to do in January very clearly, and Jackson does see that, as does Thomas Sandgaard. So without any further hesitation, people, let's dive straight into this video and let's discuss what we need to do in January. Now, the simple answer to this question is, I don't know. Brilliant! I really do not know what we're going to do in this transfer window. Probably one position that I can absolutely nail down and say, yes, we definitely need someone in this position. Anything else, I really do not know. I honestly have no idea what Jackson has up his sleeve, what Sandgaard is going to do, how much he's going to invest in the squad, if we're going to be signing loan players or bringing in players on permanence, or maybe even pre-contract agreements or free agents or whatever. I really do not know. But if I had to say for definite what position we need in the January transfer window, for me it's fairly obvious, and that's up front. We need another striker quite badly, and that is made very clear through the lack of depth that we had in that position. You know, we saw at Plymouth away at home park when we lost by 1-0. Obviously that game I didn't post a video about, obviously because I wasn't there and I couldn't watch the game, but you could definitely see that our attacking options are quite weak. Obviously, Connor Washington had COVID, as did Akinfenwa and Josh Davison. Obviously, two of those being quite big losses in Fanwell and Washington. Davison, not so much. We can manage without him. But it was very clear that Connor Washington was a big loss in that game against Plymouth, as obviously Lecco came into that position up front. And I've not heard very good things about him starting up front in that position. And we just sort of just, I don't know, it was just a bad day at the office really, but it did show that Connor Washington is a massive, massive part of this team, and without him, we really do struggle, and we can't be doing that, you know. We need somebody to come off the bench, and we need a better option that can score goals and can have an impact, because realistically, we can't really rely on Stockley and Washington to do it all both on their own. We need to have somebody else that is ready to come on when we need them and make that impact. And if you look at the other options that we have up front, you can't really put in a solid shout for either of them, to be honest with you. I mean, if you look at our attack, obviously we've got Stockley and Washington. They've both scored 7 each in the league this season. Obviously Stockley has scored considerably more in all competitions. What is it, like 13 or 14 or something like that? And while some people may slate Stockley, it's very clear that he is one of our best players right now, and he is a very, very massive part of this team. And Stockley and Washington are starting to form a bit of a partnership. If you look at our other options up front, you've got Jonathan Lecco, who you could even say that he isn't a striker. You could say that he is one of the 4 wingers that we have, as Jackson has played him in the right wing-back position. Personally, Lecco definitely is not a right wing-back. He does not have the defensive traits to play in that position. Obviously, we have had Dion Charles filled that position. I personally think he's done very well. I just think up front, especially since he's come back from injury, I think the injury did him no favours. He was playing very well up until he got injured. He was one of our more threatening players. 2 goals and 3 assists, I think he's got so far this season. Since he's returned from injury, he has struggled to find the form that we saw of him at the start of the season, and I just don't think that up front we can really rely on him to get the goals and come off the bench and get goals. And we can definitely say the same about our 2 other strikers, Josh Davison and Mason Burstow. Now, this isn't to knock the 2. I do like both of them, don't get me wrong, I do like both of them. I just think that we can do a hell of a lot better. I mean, starting with Josh Davison, you cannot knock the kid's work rate. He gives 110% every single time he puts on that Charlton shirt, and he was given an opportunity under Nigel Adkins, and he took it brilliantly. You know, he was playing really well under Adkins, and he was scoring goals. You know, he got a goal against Portsmouth, and he scored against Bolton. I don't see any goals in him. I really don't. I don't see him scoring any goals, and ultimately, he is paid to score goals, and at the moment he's not doing that, and I can't really see him do anything else. At the moment, I'd even go as far as saying that he is the new Josh Parker, which some may say is a little bit harsh, but Parker gave 110%, and that is what Charlton fans liked about him. He just didn't score goals. Davison is the same case. I know he scored 2 more than Parker did, but I just don't see him scoring at the moment, and I just think that we can do better. And as for Mason Burstow, obviously he's had a phenomenal season so far. He's scored a ridiculous amount of goals in very few professional appearances that he's made this season. But I just think in League One, I just think it's a bit too much for him. I do like Burstow, don't get me wrong. I do think he is a one for the future. I just think at the moment, I don't really think we should be relying on him to come on and change the game in like the final 10 or 20 minutes. For me, up front is a position that we need quite badly, and it can't just be any random sod, you know, just another option off the bench just to bring on. It needs to be someone that knows this league, that can come on and make an impact. But other than striker, I really do not know what we're going to do in this transfer window, but we do have quite a big team. We've got depth in that team. You know, we've got 2 keepers, 2 right backs, 4 centre backs, 2 left-sided. Do we have 2 left-sided? Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. 2 left-sided and 2 right-sided centre-backs, 2 right-backs. I think 3 defensive midfielders, quite a lot of central players, an attacking midfielder in Elliot Lee. We've got 4 wingers and 4 strikers. So we have a very, very bulky squad. And like I said, I don't see us bringing in another player in a position without letting someone go. And if you actually look at our team, a lot of the players that you could definitely say that we could offload are out of contract in the summer, and we're going to find it very difficult to offload these players in January for a fee, especially for a fee. Straight away, off the top of my head, Pape Soare, I think he's probably one of the first ones that we can look to get rid of very quickly, although he is out of contract in the summer, so I think we're going to find it very difficult if we are going to be in the market for a left-back to let him go. He's been terrible, to be honest with you, since coming to the club, and he's instantly one player that I can think of that we can let go. Another 2 players I can think of, both of our natural right-backs, Adam Matthews and Chris Gunter. Gunter is just Gunter, and I think he's just got to stay as far away from the first team as physically possible. He's been absolutely shocking this season. Matthews, he has been injured, I get that, but again, he's been below par this season. He's not been good this year compared to the previous years. He's just slowly declined as the years have gone on. If I was going to say which players we could get rid of, I could think of 3 off the top of my head that I've written down. The first of which is Harry Arter, very similar to the likes of Dylan Levitt and the 2 Matt Smiths that we've had in previous seasons. A player that's come to this football club and has barely played, and he's basically just hesitant to use the word waste of space, but to be honest with you, he has been this season. I understand he's been injured over these past couple of months, but we can definitely get another midfield option in January to replace him. I think that we should, to be honest with you, recall him, send him back to Nottingham Forest, because, like I said, he's played only 4 times this season. He's been out of injury, and we can definitely do a lot better than him. We can bring in another option in midfield to replace him. He's just another case of a player that we've brought in the midfield that has barely played. Could even put in a case for us loaning out 2 players that we have, 2 younger players that we've got within our team, and that's Alby Morgan and Josh Davison. I think, to be honest with you, both of them, I think we could loan them out in January, get them some experience, get them some much needed game time. I mean, in the case of Alby Morgan, he desperately needs game time because he has been massively out of favour under Johnnie Jackson. You know, there was... I do feel a bit sorry for Morgan, to be honest with you, because he was put under a lot of unnecessary pressure under Nigel Adkins. You know, he was given the number 10 when he definitely isn't a number 10. And this season, while I do like him, he has been one of our worst performers this season. He just looks like a player that is just completely shot of confidence. He can't cross a ball in to save his life. Why he's on free kicks and set pieces when he's on the field is just beyond me, because he just cannot swing across in to save his life. And he has been very poor. And it's the same case with Josh Davison. You know, like I said, he just doesn't look like he's got goals in him. And I think that he needs to go again to a League 2 side and try and bag some goals and find some form. And while I'm talking about players that we could definitely loan out, there is one other that I reckon that we could loan out until the end of the season. And it is definitely a bold shout, and to be honest with you, quite surprising that I'm even saying that we should consider loaning this guy out, because I thought that he was going to be one of our biggest players this season, and it just hasn't worked out for him. And of course I refer to Charlie Kirk. I understand he's had a lot against him this year. Obviously the untimely death of his dad is absolutely horrible. But if we're talking about the footballing side, you know, his time at Charlton thus far, we have to say that he doesn't offer us anything at the moment, and he doesn't fit our system. You know, Kirk's best position, someone did talk about it on Twitter, Nathan Muller from Charlton Live, he did talk about it, in a tweet previously. He did say that Kirk's best position is the left side of a front three, and that's why he did so well at Crewe. They put him in that position, played to his strengths, and he did absolutely fantastically. He played there a couple of times under Nigel Adkins when we played that 4-3-3 system, but now under Jackson, we play a 5-3-2 or a 3-5-2, whatever you want to call it. And realistically, Kirk isn't a wing-back. He is not a wing-back. You know, he darts on that left-hand side and he cuts back on that right foot and he just gets tackled and he can't offer us anything. I think, to be honest with you, Kirk's best position, if we were to play him in this system, would probably be either right wing-back or through the middle. And realistically, in terms of form, we're not going to pick him, you know, because that middle three of Dobson, Gilby and Lee is pretty much untouchable based on their performances recently. And as for right wing back, I think Jaisimi's played really well in that position, and I think that, again, it's going to be difficult for him to be knocked out of the squad in favour of Kirk. And I think Kirk, to be honest with you, it probably would be for the best for him to go out on loan in January. I don't think we should sell him like some people have said, because realistically, he is still young. He recently turned 24. He's on a 3.5-year deal. He's got 3.5 years left on his contract at Charlton. So we're going to find it very difficult to get rid of him on a permanent if we were to get rid of him. But yeah, I just think it just hasn't worked out for him thus far. And it has been a shame, you know, to see him underperformed, because like I said, there was a lot of hype about him. £500,000 we supposedly paid for him from Crewe, and he just hasn't delivered. In terms of players that we could potentially bring in January, I have highlighted a couple of transfer targets that we have been linked with previously, and some that we've actually been linked with recently. Elliot Lee and Akin Famwo, both of them I think we should be looking to bring in permanently. Obviously with Famwo, we do have an option to make it a permanent at the end of his loan spell this season, and to be honest with you, I think he's been our standout centre-back this season. He's been absolutely fantastic this year, been an absolute brick wall in the defensive line. In terms of being on the injury table, he hasn't been. He's been able to stay fit, unlike last year where he had quite a lengthy spell out of the squad, and he was a big miss to our team last season. And this year, he has proven to be one of our best players this season. He's been absolutely fantastic in the defensive line. And as for Elliot Lee, Luton Town fans seem to want to let him go in January, and I will absolutely happily take Lee off of their hands in a permanent deal, because again, he's been fantastic. He's been absolutely superb. I said from the start when we signed him in August, I said that he was going to be a big player for us, and he's proven that. Hopefully we can bring him in. There has been a link going about the place from a Charlton departure going to Luton Town. Now this one, I definitely can't see this happening at all. It's Ben Purrington. There's been a link recently saying that Ben Purrington is supposedly wanted by Luton Town. Personally, I can't see this happening. I don't think there is any way that we will let Purrington go. I mean, he's out of contract in the summer. I've been speaking to some Luton fans on Instagram, and they've said that they don't need a left-back. They have said, you know, that potentially we could do a swap deal. You know, we bring in Lee on a permanent and they get Purrington. Personally, not a chance in hell that's going to happen. Like I said, I don't think we're going to let Purrington go. He's been fantastic for us this season. If he does go to Luton, I will be very, very surprised. And then in terms of transfer targets, as in outside of the club, there have been a couple that I have pinpointed here. On a piece of paper. There has been one recently that has come out, and it has gone all over the place a little bit, and that is that we are among one of a couple of League One clubs, I think it's us, Portsmouth and Bolton, that are supposedly interested in Rotherham United winger Kieran Sadlier. Football League World have reported that all three clubs are supposedly interested in the player. He is out of contract in the summer with Rotherham, so again it would be either a minimal fee that we pay or a pre-contract agreement signing, or even we wait until he gets released and then get him in on a free. I'm not all that keen with this signing anyway if we were to bring this guy in. I mean, he's played only 11 games for Rotherham so far this season. Only 5 of them have been starts, and he's scored 1 goal. So it's not the most impressive record in the world. He was actually, I think, nearly offloaded by Rotherham either at the start of last season or this year. Some League One club wanted him, and yeah, they turned that down. And he did have quite a serious ankle injury last season. Sadlier plays in a position that we don't need, because we already have 4 wingers. Kirk, Jaisimi, Blackett-Taylor and Lecco do play a 5 at the back system, or a 3 at the back with wing backs, however you want to describe it. And Sadlier, I mean, he's a winger, or he can play through the middle. So he isn't really a player that, you know, plays right wing back. So if we are to bring him in, it would be a case of Jackson obviously needing to adapt him to play right wing back, obviously like he did with Jaisimi. And there were actually a couple striker options that we were linked with in the summer, although I don't think they were ever proven. And that was the first one being Accrington Stanley striker Dion Charles. Now, at the time of recording this video, it has been reported by the Sunderland Echo that he is set to join Bolton Wanderers for £300,000. Obviously, we know the story of Charles this season. He's had a lot of contract debate with Accrington. There's been a lot of falling out between him and John Coleman, and as a result of that, he's actually been phased out of the Accrington team. He struggled to get game time this season, and I think if Charlton were to go in for him, there would be an element of risk because he hasn't played an awful lot this season. He has got a fantastic record at League One level. Obviously, he scored like, what was it, like 19 goals last season, some stupid record with Accrington last season. But this year, it just hasn't happened for him because he's not been playing. But we know what he can do at this level. We know that he is a very, very good striker at this level. It's just this season, there is an element of risk if we do bring him in because he just hasn't played this season. And to be honest with you, I'm sick and tired of us bringing in strikers and players in general that are just not fit and just haven't played, and then we just have to build them up and they're not up to speed, and as a result they just have a slow start and ultimately don't perform, because we've seen it before with countless players. And to be honest with you, I'm sick of that. I think really we should be looking at a player that has been playing consistently, whether that be at this level or another level, that can come into this team and hit the ground running. And one player that I think that could do that and would be a statement signing, although would be very unlikely, is Plymouth's Luke Jepcott. I think he would be an absolutely fantastic signing, although it would be very unlikely. Obviously, Plymouth are above us in the league right now, and he has played quite a lot of games for them. He's played 22 times, 5 goals and 3 assists. Not as good as last season. Obviously, last year he was absolutely fantastic for Plymouth. Their key player scored a ridiculous amount of goals in a very poor Plymouth side last year. This season, I don't think he's actually started that many for them, though. He's come off the bench quite a lot of times this season. He's been like behind the likes of Ryan Hardy, Kieran Agard and Jordan Garrick on occasion as well. He's been, you know, left on the bench on occasion, and like I said, he's not done as well compared to last season. And if we do go in for him, there was a rumour that we were bidding £600,000 for him in the summer. That rumour was never proven. But if we do go in for him in January, as I say, very unlikely, but if we do go in for him and we do end up getting him, it would be a big statement signing. You know, him with Stockley and Washington and the other options that we have, you know, Lecco and Burstow and Davison, if we keep him, it would be a serious improvement. And like I say, a big statement. He's only 21 years of age, still very young, a very good record at this level. And like I say, if we do bring him in, it would be a big, big stamp of authority. Thomas Sangard did say in a interview in the South London Press, he did say that he wants to bring in, you know, younger, hungry players that can, you know, obviously grow as the future goes on. So I guess we're looking to build on the future in this transfer window. But yeah, and I think he did actually highlight that we are looking to strengthen in the attacking department and also in the defensive department, which is very interesting because we've got 4 centre-backs, as I say. And as for the full-backs, all of them are short-term because they're out of contracts in the summer. So it's going to be interesting to see what we do if we are going to offload anyone. But like I said, other than the striker position, I think we're going to find it very difficult to bring in someone without letting someone go. I think we are going to see a couple players depart. Who that's going to be, though, in terms of bringing in and letting go, is to be seen. That is another question. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting January window. We need to get business done. Every Charlton fan knows that. But what we are going to do is definitely up in the air. But I am looking forward to seeing what we're going to do. So that is it for this video, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, can you possibly leave a like, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and turn on those post notifications so you are notified of every time I post a new video. What do you guys think? Let's get talking. What do you think we should do in the January transfer window? Who should we sign? Who should we let go? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you guys did have a very Merry Christmas, and I wish you all a very Happy New Year. Happy 2022. Hopefully we have a much better year than the previous 2 years, although at the moment, with the way everything's going, it's probably not looking likely. It's probably going to be in for another shit show like we've seen the last 2 years. But we've got to remain positive, haven't we? We've got to remain hopeful that this year is going to be better than the last. This has been Tyler Rowlinson. Have a nice day, and I will see you all, hopefully, for the match reaction against Wycombe, where hopefully the boys can get me the 3 points for my birthday. Take it easy, stay safe, and I'll see you all then.